Ever had that gut feeling that something just isn't right in your relationship, especially when it comes to intimacy? If you've ever been involved with a narcissist, you probably know exactly what that feels like. In this video, we're going to talk about 10 disturbing sexual behaviors that narcissists often display. When it comes to sex, narcissists don't follow the same rules as everyone else. Their approach is different, and not in a good way. We're going to break down these 10 toxic patterns and look at why they're so harmful, so you can spot the signs and protect yourself. Make sure you watch until the end. You're going to want to hear all of this. Number 1. The hidden desires of narcissists. Narcissists are often experts at hiding who they really are, especially when it comes to their deeper desires and personal interests. They go to great lengths to create and maintain a carefully crafted image that fits in with what society considers acceptable or normal. On the surface, they may seem like perfectly conventional, even morally upright individuals, someone who appears stable, respectful, and grounded. But behind that public mask, there's often a very different story. Their private urges and interests can be much more unusual, and in some cases, even deeply unsettling. These hidden sides of their personality are typically kept under lock and key, tucked away where no one can easily find them. It's not that they don't act on these desires, it's just that they're incredibly strategic about when, where, and with whom they reveal them. In many cases, you won't even begin to notice anything is off until much later, sometimes after months or even years of knowing them. That's because narcissists are highly skilled at putting on an act. They'll say all the right things, behave the way they know is expected, and keep up appearances flawlessly. But all the while there may be a whole other side to them that they're keeping hidden from view. This can include things like secret sexual preferences that they don't talk about openly. For example, they might be attracted to the same sex, but never admit it, or they might be interested in group sex or other alternative lifestyles that they deliberately keep secret. And sometimes, these behaviors can cross into even darker or more troubling territory. To cover this up, they might go out of their way to present themselves as pure or even celibate. You might hear them claim they haven't had sex in years or talk about their deep religious values and personal commitment to moral behavior. These statements can sound convincing, especially when they're delivered with confidence and sincerity. But often, this so-called purity is just another part of their performance. It's a smokescreen meant to make you and everyone else believe they're someone they're not. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, they might be involved in actions and behaviors that completely contradict the clean image they show the world. They may engage in risky, secretive, or even manipulative sexual behaviors that they never talk about openly, and all the while they're working hard to keep their public reputation spotless. This duality, the polished exterior versus the hidden reality, is a major part of how narcissists keep control. By showing the world one version of themselves, while privately indulging in another, they're able to protect their influence, maintain power over others, and continue their manipulations without being exposed. It's this ability to manage and control their image so precisely, while hiding things that would completely change how they're perceived, that makes them so difficult to truly understand until it's too late. Number 2. The need for multiple sources of validation. One of the defining characteristics of a narcissist is their insatiable need for validation. This need goes far beyond typical compliments or praise. They crave constant attention and admiration from multiple sources to sustain their inflated sense of self-worth. Narcissists rarely rely on just one source for this validation, preferring to keep several supply sources at once. They often seek out quick, low-effort ways to fuel their need for affirmation, whether it's engaging in casual sexual encounters, visiting places of prostitution, or indulging in other less conventional activities. They are always on the hunt for something that provides them with an instant rush of attention and admiration. Even if they present themselves as ordinary, family-oriented individuals, many narcissists are living double lives. They often engage in these secret behaviors, keeping them hidden from those closest to them, to preserve their image while satisfying their insatiable need for stimulation and affirmation. Their desire for excitement knows no bounds, and they will chase whatever gives them the quickest fix of praise, admiration, or sexual satisfaction, regardless of the moral or ethical consequence. Their need for validation is constant, and they will stop at nothing to ensure they are always at the center of attention. Number 3. A hunger for unconventional sex. For narcissists, conventional sexual intimacy is rarely enough. They are constantly seeking new and unconventional ways to satisfy their desires, driven by a need for novelty and variety. Standard forms of intimacy, even when physically satisfying, tend to bore them quickly. From engaging in BDSM to exploring extreme or taboo sexual expressions, narcissists often feel compelled to push boundaries in their sexual experiences. This hunger for novelty can extend to behaviors that are deeply disturbing and illegal, such as pedophilia, where the narcissist seeks out vulnerable individuals for their own gratification. It's crucial to understand that while not every narcissist will engage in such criminal behavior, their lack of empathy and their desire to control and dominate others can lead to harmful and exploitative actions. They often value physical appearance over emotional connection and tend to view others as objects to be used for their own pleasure. This lack of regard for boundaries or the well-being of others enables them to justify engaging in behaviors that many would consider deeply unethical or immoral. It's important to remain cautious and aware of who you allow into your life, especially in situations where you or vulnerable individuals could be at risk. Number 4. Their disdain for boredom and conventionality. Boredom is the kryptonite for narcissists. For them, the constant search for novelty is a driving force. Even if you are physically attractive, offer great intimacy, and meet many of their needs, it is only a matter of time before they lose interest. Narcissists are rarely content with what they have, always on the lookout for something new and exciting to fill the void of boredom. This insatiable craving for stimulation makes them difficult to satisfy, as they are never truly satisfied with what is in front of them. Once they tire of a relationship, a partner, or even a particular lifestyle, they will quickly move on, seeking out the next adventure or thrill. They crave the feeling of excitement and distraction, always needing something fresh to capture their attention and keep them from feeling bored. This constant dissatisfaction often leads them to shift blame onto their past partners. They may claim that their previous relationships were unexciting or that their partners were unwilling to try new things, even if this is not the case. Narcissists are quick to devalue those around them once they no longer serve the purpose of providing them with the attention or excitement they seek. Their manipulation often extends to blaming others for their dissatisfaction, rather than recognizing their own inability to find contentment. Number 5. The lack of emotional intimacy in sex. Sex for narcissists is rarely about intimacy or emotional connection. For them, it is more of a tool for self-gratification than a shared experience of closeness with a partner. Once their physical needs are met, they typically show little to no interest in emotional intimacy. After sex, they may immediately withdraw, physically distancing themselves and offering no affection or comfort. They have no desire to cuddle, connect, or engage in post-coital bonding, because for them, the act is only about fulfilling their own needs, not about creating a meaningful emotional connection. This lack of interest in emotional intimacy is not just limited to physical acts. It reflects a broader pattern of emotional distancing in their relationships. Narcissists view their partners as objects to be used for their own satisfaction, rather than as equals deserving of love, care, and emotional connection. This emotional detachment extends beyond just their sexual relationships and into their overall view of others. They often struggle to form deep emotional bonds with anyone, as they prioritize their own desires and gratification above all else. Once they have achieved their goal of self-gratification, they discard their partner, often showing no interest in their feelings or emotional need. To a narcissist, intimacy is not a shared experience but rather a means to fulfill their own desires, with little regard for the emotional connection that should accompany it. Number 6. Narcissists and their secret obsession with pornography. One of the most hidden and often overlooked behaviors in narcissists is their secret obsession with pornography. Many narcissists develop a deep and often secretive relationship with pornography, indulging in it in ways that can be surprising and unsettling. This obsession often extends into more unusual forms of porn types that may be considered taboo or highly unconventional, and ones you may never expect them to be interested in. Narcissists are notorious for keeping these preferences concealed, indulging in them when you're not around, such as when you're at work or busy with other activities. These hidden habits are often difficult to detect at first, but over time, you may begin to notice telltale signs, especially if you come across inappropriate or questionable content on their devices or in their browsing history. For narcissists, pornography serves as an anonymous outlet for their cravings and desires, a way to fulfill their sexual needs without revealing the darker sides of their personality. They often view it as a safe escape, allowing them to satisfy their urges without anyone being the wiser about their private activities. Alongside their use of porn, narcissists may also engage in conversations on adult websites or forums, further hiding their activities beneath the surface of their seemingly normal public lives. These secretive behaviors are a reflection of their need to maintain a carefully curated image in public, all while indulging in behaviors that are far from what they present to the world. The level of secrecy they maintain around these activities speaks volumes about their need for control and their fear of anyone discovering the parts of themselves they'd rather keep hidden. Number 7. Narcissists' obsession with cleanliness. Another peculiar trait of narcissists that often goes unnoticed is their obsessive focus on cleanliness and personal hygiene. While this may appear to be a simple case of self-care, it's actually a deeper reflection of their internal struggles. Narcissists often go to great lengths to ensure they are always clean and immaculate, sometimes washing up multiple times a day in a ritualistic manner. This behavior often stems from a need to cleanse themselves, especially when they have engaged in activities that they feel are morally or ethically wrong. The more they indulge in secretive or illicit behaviors, whether it's related to pornography, manipulation, or infidelity, the more they feel compelled to wash themselves repeatedly, as if they are trying to scrub away the shame or guilt associated with those actions. It's as though they believe that by physically cleansing themselves, they can rid themselves of the emotional or psychological dirt they feel from their hidden activities. Interestingly, this obsession with cleanliness is often coupled with a tendency to criticize their partner's hygiene, no matter how clean they actually are. Narcissists may project their own feelings of uncleanliness or guilt onto others, accusing their partner of being dirty or careless about their hygiene, even when this isn't the case. This behavior is a reflection of their inner turmoil, as they struggle to reconcile their public persona with the darker, more hidden parts of their personality. It's also a way for them to deflect attention away from their own imperfections, focusing instead on the faults they perceive in others. Number 8. Oral sex and narcissists' desire for praise. When it comes to sexual preferences, narcissists have very specific desires that are often linked to their need for validation and praise. One of the more common sexual preferences among narcissists is the desire to receive oral sex. However, when they do perform this act themselves, it is rarely out of a genuine desire to please their partner. Instead, they typically view it as a means to receive praise and admiration, feeding their ever-hungry ego. For narcissists, the act of giving oral sex is more about getting validation than about any mutual sexual pleasure. They crave the affirmation that comes from being told they are the best lover you've ever had, or that their performance is beyond compare. It's not about intimacy or connection for them, it's about reinforcing their sense of superiority and ensuring their ego is constantly being stroked. This need for constant praise often means that narcissists are less willing to give oral sex themselves, especially if they have multiple partners. They view the act as something that requires a level of closeness they are unwilling to offer, as it could potentially damage the carefully constructed self-image they work so hard to maintain. By keeping sexual acts like this at a distance, they are able to control the level of intimacy and ensure that they remain in a position of power, where they are the focus of attention and admiration. Number 9. Narcissists and their lack of boundaries. Narcissists often have an alarming disregard for personal boundaries, particularly when it comes to sexual behavior. Their sense of right and wrong is often distorted, and they have a deep-seated belief that their desires should always take precedence over any rules or social norms. Many narcissists feel no shame or hesitation when it comes to crossing lines that would be considered unacceptable by most people, including incestuous relationships or engaging in inappropriate behavior with family members or step relations. To them, the pursuit of pleasure, regardless of the consequences, is the ultimate goal. Their lack of a moral compass allows them to act impulsively, driven solely by their own desires and impulses. Whether it's sleeping with a cousin, sibling, or step-parent, the concept of ethical behavior is meaningless to them. Narcissists are willing to disregard the emotional and psychological damage their actions may cause to others, viewing people as mere objects to satisfy their own need. This willingness to cross boundaries, even those that would be considered taboo or illegal, is a clear reflection of their selfishness and their inability to consider the impact of their actions on others. For narcissists, the only thing that matters is their immediate gratification, and they will stop at nothing to pursue whatever they want, without regard for the harm they may cause. Number 10. The loneliness of being with a narcissist. One of the most heart-wrenching and painful aspects of being involved with a narcissist is the profound loneliness that inevitably creeps into the relationship over time. At the beginning, a narcissist may shower you with attention, affection, and sexual interest, leading you to believe that you have found someone who truly cares about you. However, this attention is often short-lived, as the narcissist's lust is fleeting and their desire for you diminishes once they have satisfied their cravings. What follows is a gradual withdrawal of intimacy and emotional connection, leaving you feeling isolated and disconnected. The relationship may begin to feel more like a roommate situation, where the closeness and affection you once shared are replaced by a cold transactional partnership. The narcissist may not necessarily end the relationship outright, but they will stop offering you the emotional and physical closeness that initially drew you to them. This can be especially painful because, despite being physically present, the narcissist's lack of emotional engagement creates a deep sense of loneliness. This feeling of isolation becomes more pronounced when you realize that the narcissist is likely seeking attention and validation elsewhere, often leading secret lives and pursuing new sources of admiration or affection. Whether it's through infidelity, online relationships, or even emotional affairs, the narcissist's need for constant validation often drives them to seek out attention from others, leaving you to feel emotionally abandoned. This kind of loneliness is one of the most difficult aspects of being in a relationship with a narcissist, as you are left yearning for a connection that the narcissist is incapable of providing. As we've seen, narcissists often live in a way that involves carefully managing two completely different realities. On one hand, they present themselves as charming, responsible, and even admirable to the outside world. On the other, they keep their real desires, behaviors, and intentions hidden, creating a secret life that often looks nothing like the version they show to others. This double life allows them to stay in control, maintain a sense of power over their relationships, and manipulate the people around them without being easily detected. It's a calculated act, and every move is part of a bigger strategy to keep others off balance and in the dark about who they really are. Much of this behavior is rooted in a deep fear of being exposed. Behind the mask, narcissists often carry a profound sense of insecurity. They crave constant validation and admiration, and they go to great lengths to get it. This can include hiding aspects of their sexuality, covering up behaviors that don't fit their public image, or pretending to be more confident and stable than they actually feel. Their need to be seen as special or superior often drives them to fabricate parts of their identity just to maintain that illusion. While they may come across as composed or morally upright, their actions behind closed doors can be manipulative, deceptive, and in direct conflict with the image they've worked so hard to build. This kind of emotional deception doesn't just affect them, it takes a real toll on the people closest to them. Relationships with narcissists are often marked by emotional distance, coldness, and a complete lack of genuine empathy. They may seem engaged or interested at times, but it's usually driven by their own needs rather than any real concern for others. For those in close relationships with narcissists, this can create a deep sense of isolation. It's incredibly difficult to feel seen or understood when you're dealing with someone who is primarily focused on protecting their own image and feeding their ego. Recognizing these hidden aspects of a narcissist personality is an important step in understanding how these toxic dynamics really work. The more aware you are of what's going on beneath the surface, the better equipped you are to protect your own emotional well-being and avoid getting drawn deeper into the narcissist's web of control and manipulation. If you found this video helpful or eye-opening in any way, we'd really appreciate it if you could take a moment to like, subscribe, and share it with others who might need this information. Your support makes a huge difference and helps us continue to provide content that sheds light on these difficult topics. And don't forget to leave a comment below, whether you've had personal experiences with narcissistic behavior or just want to share your thoughts. Your voice matters. Let's keep the conversation going and continue building a community where people can feel supported, informed, and empowered. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.